Do you feel like you're continually putting real effort into your content, the strategy, the plan, the consistency, the showing up, and still feel like all the right pieces are there, but the connection isn't? Now, most content strategies and tactics are built around visibility and conversion, which is fine, but they skip the most important part, the journey the person is actually on when they find you. By the end of this episode, you'll understand what the missing piece is, why it changes everything, and how to start weaving it into the content you're already creating. Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to this week's episode of the Content with Heart podcast. I hope you're well today. I'd love to put it out there up front on this episode today that if you've been enjoying these episodes of the podcast, then I would truly appreciate a rating or review wherever you happen to be watching or listening to this episode. It helps other amazing humans just like you find the content that helps them to create content in a way that feels true to them. So thank you for taking the time to do it for me. So today I really wanted to address this frustration of doing all the right things when it comes to your content, but still feeling like something isn't quite working properly. So I'm going to start this episode with a question. When you look at your content, honestly, does it feel like it was created for someone? Or does it feel like it was created because you needed to post something or create something? I'll be the first to put my hand up and say that sometimes it's the latter for me. There are times when I feel like I really should be doing something. So I do the something without thinking about who I'm doing it for or why I'm actually doing it. What I know to be true is that content comes from a place of pressure. The content that we create because we're supposed to, because it's been too long, because the algorithm has apparently changed and now rewards consistency. This content rarely connects the way that we really want it to. And the reason is super simple. It wasn't created with a human in mind, either the person who's consuming it or the person who's creating it. Instead, it was created to simply fill a space. Now, most content advice out there is built around one main thing, and that's visibility. Post more, create more, publish more, stay consistent, use the right hooks, show up on the right platforms. And I want to be clear, I want to be perfectly clear here. None of that is technically wrong. Consistency matters, showing up matters, but visibility without the connection piece is just noise. And I think that a lot of us are starting to feel that noise, both as business owners and consumers of content every single day. Am I right? The thing that's missing here is the thing that most strategies and strategists leave out, and that's the human journey, your ideal client's journey, the emotional experience they're having when they come across your content, the questions that they're sitting with, the things that they're hoping someone will finally understand about them. When your content doesn't account for that journey, it can totally look polished and perfect, but still not land. It can be consistent, but still feel hollow and shallow. And it's not a reflection of you or your effort. It's really a reflection of what the strategy was and wasn't designed to do. So, what does it look like to bring the human journey back into your content? Well, there's 4 main things that I want to share with you today. And the first is that when our content lacks empathy, it's just adding to that noise. Now, strategy, when you think about strategy and content strategy, it answers the what and the when. What do I post? When do I post it? What platform? What format? How often? All of those things matter. And I'm totally not dismissing them. But strategy on its own doesn't answer the question that actually determines whether your content connects with someone. And that is the first stage of the client journey, connect. Connect, subscribe, nurture, convert. And it's that connect piece that we need to focus on. So if you can't answer the question, why does this matter to this person right now? You will never, ever get to that stage of conversion. And that's the empathy piece, right? And most strategies don't have that built in. It's about the technicalities. When we skip the empathy, we end up with this content that's technically correct. It ticks all the boxes. It looks good, but it feels emotionally flat. It really gives people information, but doesn't help make them feel understood. Your ideal client isn't necessarily searching for more information. There is more information available to all of us right now than any human could ever consume. What your ideal client is actually searching for is someone who gets it, someone who gets them, someone who understands their specific situation, their specific frustrations, and the specific version of the problem that they're trying to solve right now. And when your content does that, when it meets someone in the reality of where they actually are, then something will shift. They will stop scrolling. They will read the whole thing. They will watch the whole thing. They save it. They share it. They think to themselves, this person gets it. And that is what you want your ideal client to feel. That feeling that they get doesn't come from, creating a better hook or the perfect graphics or even from AI. It actually comes from genuine empathy built into how you're creating. Now, the second idea about bringing back the human to your content is that when your content lacks intention, it just fills a space in the world and ends up creating a distance. And this one is really subtle, but I think it's important. And I spoke about intention in the last episode. So go back and listen to episode 212 if you want to know more about that. But I think a lot of us confuse consistency with intention, and they're actually not the same thing. Consistency is about showing up regularly in a content rhythm that feels good for you. Intention is knowing why you're showing up and what you're offering when you do show up. So when we create content from a place of habit or a place of pressure, the content will fill the space, but it doesn't really build anything. It's not taking someone on a journey towards an end goal of working with you. It's the difference between going through the motions in a relationship and being genuinely present in it. So people can feel the difference, even if they can't articulate exactly why. Intentional content starts with that clear sense of purpose, not a marketing purpose. Like, I'm not talking about connection versus conversion, although that totally matters too, but I mean a human purpose. What do I want this person to feel after they've read this? What do I want them to see differently after they've watched it? What's the one thing that I want to leave them with? And when you're clear on that before you start, it really changes everything about how you write, how you record. The tone becomes far more grounded because it's more you. The message becomes clearer and cleaner, and the content really feels like it came from somewhere real because guess what? It did. Now, back in episode 202, I spoke about energy and content, and I think it really applies here as well. The state that you're in when you create content really does matter. The energy that you bring to it, whether you're calm and clear or stressed and really scattered and feeling like you're under the pump, really transfers to the reader or watcher in ways that we don't fully understand, but absolutely feel. And I'm sure that you've read something and thought, oh my gosh, I can feel how tired or bored this person is with their content. Or conversely, you've probably read something or watched something and genuinely felt energized by it, even if you couldn't actually explain why. So just know that your content does carry an energy so that when you can create from that place of calm and feeling in control, create when you have something genuine to say, not just because the calendar says that it's time to create. And this is not just about waiting for the right time to create content, because if we're waiting for the right time to create content, guess what? We never create it. My free spirit content creator archetypes who love to create when they're in the flow, for them, it's more about learning how to get themselves or put themselves into the right energetic state to create content, because if they waited, they'd be waiting forever. As a planner archetype myself, I have specific days that I like to create content like this episode, but I know how to put myself into the right energetic state to record it if I'm feeling a little bit flat or under the weather. And spoiler alert, it actually usually involves coffee and fresh air. The third thing about this human journey with your content is that when you have disconnected pieces of content or touch points, it really breaks that client journey. And this is something that I honestly don't think gets talked enough in content marketing conversations. And I think it's one of probably the biggest reasons that content feels like it isn't working, even when each individual piece is perfectly crafted or, genuinely good on their own. So your content doesn't exist in isolation. It needs to be part of a connected story over time. So when we just focus on conversion or perfecting a launch email funnel, we forget that this is really about an ongoing relationship. So think about what it feels like to follow someone whose content that you really love. It's probably rarely one podcast episode that wins you over. It's rarely one blog. It's rarely one post. It's the accumulation of all of them. That sense that you're really getting to know someone. The thing that they share adds another layer to your understanding of who they are and how they think. And that you're somewhere in that journey with them, even if you've never spoken to them. And that's exactly what I hope that you're experiencing with the Content with Heart podcast. The idea that you know what I'm about and that I see you, and each episode builds on the previous one. And I feel like that experience can only be really created through connected touch points, intentional touch points, content that really builds on itself and moves forward rather than just existing in the world. And the opposite to this is also true as well. Like when content is disconnected, when each piece lives in isolation with no real thread between all of them, the experience your audience feels is very scattered. And people don't always stick around, do they, to try and piece it together? It's just too hard. They just quietly probably drift away. So I want to offer you a really simple audit for this, a really simple idea. Just take a look at your last probably 5 or maybe 6 pieces of content and read them in order as if you were a stranger coming across them for the first time. Do they build something together? Does each one deepen the relationship a little, give away a little bit more about you and your message and what you stand for? And would someone who's reading or watching or listening to those pieces of content in sequence feel like they're getting closer to understanding who you are, what you believe, and whether you're the right person for them? And if the answer to that is yes, then congratulations. That is a connected client journey. If it feels more like 5 or 6 separate pieces of conversations that don't quite add up to anything, then that's probably worth paying attention to. And lastly, when we think about content as the humans involved in it, there is something here that I know you are so good at, but rarely features in anyone's content strategy. And that is building relationships. Now, I think a lot of us have absorbed way too much from the way that content strategy is typically taught. And one of those ideas is that relationship building is something that happens naturally once you have all the right systems and pieces and tactics in place. It's almost like the reward that you get after you've done the work of putting your strategy together. But what if the whole purpose of content, every post, every email, every episode, is to build a relationship with the person on the other side of it, the person who's consuming that content? It's not to convert them, not to push them through a funnel, but to build something genuine with them over time. Now, when I talk to my clients about their best client relationships, and I know that the same holds true for me as well, is that the people they love to work with the most are the ones who get the most out of working with them. Say things like, I've been following you for months before I reached out, or I feel like you already know me before I even started working with you. And that's not a conversion tactic. It's not a conversion strategy. It's not a focus on conversion. This is a relationship that has been quietly building in the background long before any money changed hands. And that relationship, that pre-existing trust that they have with you, changes the dynamic of working together from day one. And it's really what content can do when it's built around relationships rather than solely focusing on visibility. Every single piece of content that you create is building that relationship, and the rolling effect of that matters absolutely enormously. So I guess the question to sit with here is, when you plan your content, when you think about it, are you asking, how do I get more visibility? How do I get more eyes on this? Or are you asking, how do I build more trust with the people who are already paying attention to my content? Because those are 2 very different questions, and they lead to 2 very different types of content outcomes. Okay. So we've talked about empathy, we've talked about intention, we've talked about connected content and relationship building. And now I want to bring all of this together into practice because I truly believe something. All of this becomes so much harder to sustain if you're trying to create content in a way that actually doesn't feel like you. And this is the frustration that I see underneath so much of the burnout and the struggle and the why isn't this working? People are really following strategies that were designed for someone else's strengths, for someone else's audience, for someone else's communication style, someone else's way of building relationships and showing up in the world, not yours. And do you know what? That is exhausting, isn't it? It's exhausting following someone else's way of doing something because you're not just creating content, you're constantly squeezing yourself into a format or a mold that doesn't quite fit who you are. So, what I see over and over again is that content that works best for your business is almost always the content that sounds most like you. Simple, right? It's not a perfected, refined, polished version of you, not you trying to match the energy of someone you admire, just you. Your natural rhythm, your way of thinking through problems, the specific lens and message that you bring to your work. Because when content comes from that place, it stops feeling like something that you have to do, that you should be doing, or something to tick off your to-do list. It becomes sustainable and far more easier because it's natural. It attracts the right people because it's honest. It builds trust more quickly because it's consistent. The person your audience meets in your content is the same person they meet when they work with you. There are no surprises and no gap between expectation and reality because believe you me, that's happened to me many, many times. So if there's one thing that I really want you to take away from this episode, it's this, that the most powerful and successful content strategy you can have is one that's built around your natural way of creating and communicating. Everything else, the tactics, the platforms, the formats, they are all details. They work best when they're in service of something that's genuinely, authentically you. And if you're not quite sure what that looks like for you yet, that's why I created the Content Creator Archetype quiz for you, the business owner who knows that they need to show up with content, who genuinely 100% wants to connect with the right people, but haven't quite found your footing yet in terms of how to do that in a way that feels sustainable, easy, and true to yourself. So this quiz gives you a clear picture of how you naturally create and communicate, not how you think you should, not what the textbooks say, not what the experts say. It's about you, the way that's already built into how you think, how you like to connect, and how people make sense of things. So when you know your archetype, you really stop guessing every piece of content that you're creating, and you really start making clearer decisions about what to create, what to let go of, and how to show up in a way that actually feels like you. You'll find the link to the quiz in the show notes. It's only going to take you a few minutes, and I genuinely think it's going to give you a real sense of direction. Now, as always, before we wrap up the episode, I want to leave you with a few questions to ponder. You don't need to sit down and journal your way through all of these right now, though if that's your thing, please absolutely do hit pause. But this week, I'd love to invite you to let at least one of them sit with you as you move throughout your day today. First question is, when you read your own content, does it feel like it was created for someone or at someone? Where in your content are you being genuinely human? And where have you slipped into going through the motions? And are you creating from a place of clarity and intention or from pressure, habit, or comparison? Okay, so let's wrap up this episode. I want you to know that the missing piece in most content strategies isn't the perfect calendar or better hooks or more glamorous graphics. It's really understanding the humans involved. It's about that journey. It's about empathy built into how you create, intention behind what you share, a connected story that builds trust gradually over time, and content that genuinely sounds like you. Because that's the only version that's truly sustainable and the only version that truly connects. Your ideal client doesn't need more content from you. They really need content that makes them feel understood and that can help them make better decisions in life. And you don't need a complicated strategy. You just need one that fits who you are, with heart always.